We saw some lineup changes. So, I mean, obviously the big story that we've been working through is Vladdy, who's not been Vladdy. And John Schneider gave him an opportunity to DH yesterday, moved up to the cleanup spot. And Dalton Varsho elevated to third in lineup. Kirk jumps over Matt Chapman to hit fifth. So a little bit of switcheroo there. Biggio batting last, playing first base. So they kind of went all over the place yesterday. And for me, the underlying reason is we're trying to get Vladdy in some sort of groove, like trying to find what works for him, trying to get him, whether it's just a rest out on first base so he can focus in DHing. But I mean, I don't know any more times we can keep saying how do we get Vladdy to be Vladdy? Vladdy needs to be the superstar. I mean, he's still leading the All-Star game vote, but we know he isn't playing like an All-Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, John Schneider making some adjustments to try to tweak something. I wouldn't say that it was like a smashing success, but I think it's clearly like tipping the hand at their focus right now is obviously what to do with Vladdy and how to get Vladdy right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I looked at it a little differently in that, okay, this entire lineup is kind of sputtering. Can we change everything in an effort to spark something? I guess it's baseball's version of the blender in hockey, where it's just we'll just, mix up every line and pairing because nothing's working and we need a little shot in the arm. It definitely felt like that. But yeah, I mean, at the core of all these issues from an offensive perspective, it is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. who continues to struggle at the plate, who continues to kind of devolve in terms of his approach. I mean, it seems like a guy who's, when you're losing your golf swing, right? You start doing.
It's gone.
Maybe you're looking at YouTube tutorials, or you're getting advice from people, and you're trying to combine all these different ideas, and really you just get further from the point, which is, hey, should we simplify things? That's the way to get back on track. And it seems like someone who's trying to. It looks like someone who's in a slump, who's trying to do too much, who's trying to find something in order to get them out of the problems that they're in. And yeah, I mean, it was not a step in the right direction last night. There was an instance of him dribbling one out there, not really running it out, and it's okay.
That stuff for me is so
that's the easy stuff you can handle.
So easy,
and it just compounds the frustration a little bit. I'm not there where I'm overreacting, hot take. I don't think we're there yet. I just think he has to hit one out of the park and build. I think that is the tonic for him. That is the thing that will help him out. And I do think if you just get back to basics and simplicity, you may get there. But I don't think this is a lost cause. I don't think this is a disaster scenario. I think if he plays his best baseball in the final 3 months of the season, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. I do think there are positives here. He's just got to find something. And right now he's searching maybe a little too hard for it.
Yeah, the little things for me, you haven't afforded yourself the opportunity to, jog it out or not make a hustle play or not look like you're taking every single approach to be serious, be a leader by example. If you're in a slump, it's you got to do the simple things all the time, right? And maybe it's just a lack of attention to detail at times, but yeah, the jogging it out, that's a kind of like a non-starter for me. You are a young leader, hopefully on this team, or you want to be. Hustle plays always, right? There's players on this team that give it all every single opportunity they have, and they're not Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? So I think that I don't know if it's just it's laboring and it's weighing on him a lot, but when you're in a slump, I feel like if you just consistently do the little things right, you're going to find a way to get out of that. But it looks like his plate approach is he's trying too much. He's trying to hit the ball out of the park. He's not taking disciplined approaches, and that to me is he needs a reset. So if it's moving him into the DH spot, giving him a day off first base, I don't know. John Schneider's got a big thing in his hands to figure out and to deal with, because we would like to see Vladdy. These are some important games coming up. I think you're right about if he hits one home run, everything changes. But it's I don't know how long we're waiting for one home run. And what if it isn't this click? Now I hit one home run. Yeah, I know in hockey sometimes it's you get a goal, you get the monkey off your back and you whatever. But if you're doing all the other things right, you hit one home run and then your offense is absolutely back to normal. But if you're not doing all the little things right, is this home run really going to elevate your play all the way to the top? I hope so. But Vladdy,
not if it comes off Luke Raley.
Yeah. Well, it didn't do for him. Anyway, so yeah, the Vladdy stuff, of course, we'll keep Keep talking about.
Like it's still a team thing, right? Like if the guy, if he strikes out in a big spot and the guy behind him, whether it's Kirk or Chapman, whoever, steps up and lifts him up and has a big hit and picks up his teammate, like that can go a long way too. Where it's just like, nah, I killed my team again. Like I sucked the momentum out of this inning again. That's when it compounds the issue, right? And I think that's another thing that the Blue Jays have been really searching for is getting picked up by a teammate, having a clutch moment when it's, when you fail in the opportunity to get a runner home with one out, the guy with two outs does it anyway. Like that's the stuff that can kind of like help you get through some individual emotional toll. And I think we saw a couple instances last night of the Blue Jays picking each other up. With Bo Bichette's double after Whit Merrifield's brutal base running blunder, you score the insurance run anyway. And then Jose Barrios gives up a couple runners in the eighth inning, soft contact still, but Meza comes out there, gets the strikeout, or gets the out rather, and the Blue Jays get out of that little jam. So it's still a team aspect. It's not just Vladimir Guerrero being singularly focused on one thing and trying too hard in one area and drowning this team from an offensive perspective. It's not happening that way. But until he really gets right, this team can't function the way it's supposed to.
And he's gonna wear the face of it. Like you are a young superstar, or you want to be a young superstar in this league. I think you deserve a little bit more of a conversation than if Kevin Kiermaier, who has been very a plus addition, or Whit Merrifield, who another night like last night 3-hit Whit, like. They're not going to wear the face of this offense not producing, right? It's going to be Vlad,
right? Because it's less. There's so much more rope to overachieve, right?
Yeah.
If you're one of those guys, like
kind of everything you're overachieving.
Yeah, you're like, wow, you're actually hitting that. Like that's not to diminish it too much, but like if you're giving plus contributions, it's like, oh yeah, we can be really happy for that because you're
not supposed to be Vladdy,
and you're not supposed to do something otherworldly like Vladdy's supposed to do. Like everything. Unless you're MVP caliber, is a slight disappointment, mild disappointment. But when it goes too far the other direction and it's like, okay, this is serious disappointment, then that's when it's hard to even get back to the point where you're just a productive baseball player.
Well, the second that Vladdy started this slump and has been in it, I see online all the time in our text line, texters texting in about like maybe we overestimated what Vladdy is. Maybe this is a Vladdy that played in a ballpark that was Dunedin and was in Buffalo, and we saw these numbers that he'll never get to. Like, I don't think that that's fully accurate. I think that Vladdy can be a superstar in this league, but there is some validity to, look, he hasn't been that guy really since at that exact level, right? So I think people get really, and I'm guilty of it too, like, okay, what is Vladdy? Like, did we put too much on Vladdy's shoulders? And we're at, June 15th. There's a lot of baseball to be played left. But that's what I'm saying. Is he's going to wear the face of it because he wants to be the guy that is hitting, 30 home runs. And look at Bo's had a great season, and George Springer's rounding back into form. So who's next in the to-do list is Vladdy. So,
and there's also the money thing. Like,
of course.
That's both like weighs into the concern conversation and the disappointment and the anger. Like it's part of it. But that weighs most on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's the one who hasn't got paid yet. He's the one who hasn't locked up his guaranteed dollars, his $300+ million, all that stuff. And if we're talking concern level, like I'm not like overly concerned in the first couple months of a Major League Baseball season when that player hasn't been paid yet, because he's still defining himself as long as he hasn't gotten paid yet as a player. And if he's not what we expected, then you can readjust and you can change your expectations. You can reroute where you're going as an organization. Not to say you give up on that player, but maybe you're not going to give him that massive contract, make him the face of your franchise for more than a decade. I mean, when you pay the player, and that goes back to the Jose Barrios conversation, when you've paid that player, and they paid Jose Barrios, and he can't find it over months and months and spilling into another year, that's when it's terrifying. That's when the concern level is at its peak. But Barrios is proof that you can, even if it goes poorly for a little while, turn things around, because he has, and now he's performing at the level that was expected when he signed that contract. That's
why the Manoah stuff, figure it out now. Haven't got paid yet. It helps us as fans kind of work through that. Okay, so Blue Jays opportunity to win the series today, 1 p.m. Kikuchi versus Tyler Wells. That's on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 590 The Fan, of course.